The narrative kicks off during a Halloween celebration. At this place, there's a guy named Eric. Following a beverage, he gathers the nerve to tell his crush, Iva, how he feels. However, right at that instant, a different fellow drives up and ruins the opportunity. Eric, sensing he lost, moves away toward the side. It is then that he spots a particular box, and from inside that container, a Jester appears. The Jester attempts to take off his mask, yet it only moves a small amount. The remainder of it remains attached to his face. The Jester possesses a candle as well. He trails Ted into the ongoing party. Inside, Ava is participating in a game blindfolded, grasping a bat, but the Jester covers Eric with a cloth, causing him to vanish. The remaining guests attempt to prevent Ava from swinging, however, it is past the point of stopping. She unintentionally hits Eric to death using the bat. The Jester consequently meanders into the town area. He goes up to a man and demonstrates a card trick. The focus of the story moves to a girl called Max. She is preparing for Halloween, costumed as a magician. Her little sister is attired as a ninja. The small girl questions Max about the reason for her costume. Max had presupposed she would go trick-or-treating with her mother and sister, yet her mom informs her she is past that age and they have other plans anyway. She proposes Max should spend time with her friends, but Max lacks any friends. She takes her bicycle and leaves by herself. Concurrently, the man seen before is fleeing from the Jester in terror. The Jester captures him, dabs the perspiration from his face using a handkerchief, and forces it into the man's mouth. He subsequently begins extracting numerous handkerchiefs from the man's mouth in sequence. Once the handkerchiefs cease emerging, the Jester pulls with more force. The man expires during this action. The Jester retrieves the card that emerged from the man's mouth and incinerates it using his candle. Max reaches a local cafe. All the patrons inside are seated with company, yet Max is seated by herself. She observes a fellow named Darren. He works as a waiter at that location. Darren knows who she is. Max responds, yes, they shared a trigonometry class. She informs him of her name and requests her order, yet Darren refers to her as Magic Max. The girls seated close by begin to laugh. Then, unexpectedly, the Jester takes a seat directly opposite Max. He commences demonstrating a card trick to her. Max selects a card, but prior to the Jester completing the trick, Max solves it. She begins to detail for him the mechanics of the trick. Following this, Max performs one of her personal tricks for the Jester, and astonishingly to all, Max successfully deceives the Jester. Annoyed, the Jester stands and departs. Max exits the cafe as well, just to discover someone has flattened her bicycle tire. Devastated, she succumbs to her emotions and weeps. The focus changes to a trio of friends meandering about on Halloween. They encounter the Jester. The Jester initiates a magic performance for the group. One member of the group selects a card. The Jester is meant to identify its sight unseen, but his guess is incorrect. He makes another attempt, wishing to locate the correct card. He is unsuccessful on the second try. Unimpressed, the group of three friends departs. Furious, the Jester assaults them from the rear. He murders two members of the group. A single girl succeeds in getting away, but as the Jester attempts to light his card with the candle, the card fails to ignite. The narrative returns to Max. She is visiting her magician acquaintance, Willie. Willie says to her, "You will master the tricks, Max. Your issue is convincing yourself of failure prior to even starting." Willie questions her, "Explain the actual situation." "You didn't travel this distance solely due to a flat tire." Max replies, "I am unsure what my mistake is. I simply do not belong anywhere. The other young people behave horribly toward me. I feel completely foolish." Willie presents a magic wand to Max. He inquires of her, "What object is this?" He states, "It is merely a piece of wood. A magic wand is nothing more than wood when held by the majority of individuals. When held by those kids at school, this magic wand is simply wood, yet in your possession, it can create genuine magic." Max demonstrates a sleight of hand trick for Willie. She had previously taken his keys without his awareness. However, immediately upon Max's departure, she encounters the Jester once more. He sets his hat upon her head. The Jester moves in the direction of the kids who were harassing Max. Before all onlookers, he yanks down the trousers of the boy who flattened her tire. Frightened, the boy flees. The Jester comes back to Max, who sees him sit next to her. Max begins to feel at ease in his presence. The Jester asks her to join him for trick-or-treating. He proposes that they will go as a pair. The pair approaches the residence of a woman. Prior to the Jester accepting any candy, he requests Max perform a trick for the woman. Max performs a card trick involving her. The woman is amazed, but subsequently, the Jester taps her with his magic wand, and her expression becomes completely vacant. Max is horrified. She flees from the scene. The woman perishes due to oxygen deprivation. And on this occasion, the Jester successfully burns her card with his candle. The Jester intercepts Max while she is attempting to flee on her bicycle. Max dismounts the bicycle and sprints to a man pleading for assistance, but the Jester shoves the man's son onto the ground. The man hurries to attend to his son. Concurrently, the Jester seizes Max's inhaler. Max flees from him at top speed, but the effort makes her breathing difficult. She conceals herself within a trash bag, attempting to regain her breath. The Jester locates her. He transports her to the initial location where the narrative started. Max observes Eric's corpse and is terror-stricken, yet she cannot get away. She questions the Jester, "What does all this mean?" The Jester remains silent, prompting Max to attempt communication via a board. The Jester replies using the board, stating, "I have no desire to kill you. I require your help. You are identical to me." Then, vocalizing through Eric's corpse, he informs her, "Individuals flee from me as well, the same way they do from you. However, one day, the ultimate trickster, death, arrived to claim my soul. Yet I struck a bargain with death. I demonstrated a trick for death and prevented it from collecting my soul. However, death was displeased by the loss. There was a stipulation death failed to include in the agreement. Each Halloween, the Jester must ensnare 4 souls using his tricks and deliver them to death. And he must accomplish all this prior to the candle being fully consumed." Max inquires, "But how does any of this involve me?" The Jester replies, "You deceived me. Me, the individual who fooled the ultimate trickster. Me, the one who dispatched countless souls to death. Yet you deceived me." The Jester desires Max to execute these tricks before audiences for him, enabling him to murder them and offer their souls to death. However, Max states, "I am unable to do this." The Jester subsequently reveals the consequence. If he fails to provide 4 souls to death, he will incinerate and be annihilated. And following that, this duty will be passed on to Max. Therefore, Max is left with no option except to assist the Jester. Yet at that instant, Max succeeds in evading the Jester's notice and takes Eric's phone from his corpse. Max and the Jester begin seeking their subsequent victim. Close by, the very boy who flattened her tire is seated by himself. The Jester directs Max to approach him. Max recalls how terribly this boy behaved toward her. She takes a seat beside him and commences demonstrating a magic trick. However, the boy expresses remorse for flattening her tire. Simultaneously, he selects a card from Max's deck. He states, "I am unsure why I did that. I was merely attempting to impress those girls." The boy sincerely feels remorse for his actions. Observing this, Max experiences a shift in feeling, but the boy retrieves his selected card from the deck on his own. The instant he does so, the Jester materializes. Max shouts, "No, don't take him!" The boy notices the Jester and becomes irate, recalling the Jester's humiliation of him, but he is unable to capture the Jester. Employing his magic, the Jester ensnares him within his own jacket. Despite Max's efforts, she cannot rescue him. She implores the Jester to halt, but the Jester murders him regardless. Witnessing this, Max feels nauseated. She covertly retrieves the phone, dials 911 for emergency services, and returns it. The Jester brings her with him to locate their next target. En route, they observe Halloween pumpkins. The Jester sets them ablaze, but just then, police officers approach from the rear. They inquire if the pair possesses a mobile phone. The Jester forcefully denies it, yet Max possesses the phone. The police place handcuffs on the Jester, but employing his magic, he releases the cuffs and fastens them onto the officer's hands. The restraints sever one officer's hands. The second officer shoots at the Jester. Consequently, the Jester murders her as well. Capitalizing on the pandemonium, Max flees. She locates another man and pleads for assistance. "A man is pursuing me. He abducted me." The man places Max in his vehicle and proceeds toward the police station. He inquires about Max's name and age. He remarks, "That is a male name. At your age, you ought to be dressed in feminine clothing. You would appear more attractive in them." This man halts his vehicle in the center of the road, intending to assault Max. He states, "I am not going to harm you, Max. However, Max sinks her teeth into his hand. The man becomes enraged, yet precisely then, the Jester appears. He extracts the man from the automobile and murders him. The Jester likewise removes Max from the car, but Max cannot breathe and her inhaler is damaged. Consequently, the Jester transports her to a local fire station. He requests that they assist Max. The firefighters aid Max with her breathing. Max shouts to them, "Run!" However, the Jester begins assaulting them from the rear. He causes one officer to vanish. As another officer attempts to assault him, the Jester moves the other officer before him as a defense. He murders all of them and begins searching for Max, who is concealed beneath a truck. The Jester pulls Max out and displays his candle to her, yet Max declines to assist him. She declares, "Even if I must assume your role after you, I will not harm anyone." Therefore, the Jester cuffs her, but Max employs a trick to release them and get away. She flees directly to her home. Her mother's anticipating her arrival there. Her mother becomes upset. "Are you aware of the current time?" She punishes Max, but Max apologizes and professes, "I love you." She understands that following this day, she will lose her, yet her mother's anger does not subside. She instructs Max to head upstairs. Max observes her mother is moving in an odd manner. Following this, Max proceeds to check on her younger sister. The sister is asleep. Max bids her farewell, but the Jester's candle is resting in this same room. The Jester is also present. Max's mother emerges from behind. The Jester is vocalizing via her body. She is already deceased. The Jester states, "If you refuse to obey me, I will murder your sister as well." To protect her sister, Max is forced to consent to the Jester's demands once more. Only a single remaining trick is needed. She agrees, "I will do it." The Jester menaces her and then clarifies, "At this point, you will follow my instructions precisely." Max states, "I know of a person." Max proceeds directly to Darren, the fellow from the cafe. She inquires, "Are you interested in seeing a magic trick?" Darren responds, "For what reason?" Max replies, "Because I am fond of you." Darren agrees, "Okay." Max requests that he select a card. Darren selects a card and returns it to the deck. Max mixes the cards and retains them. She thinks to herself, "I must execute this trick for the Watcher. Only in that way will the sacrifice be taken." Thus, Max extracts a card from the Jester's pocket. She had, in fact, deceived him for the fourth soul. The Jester observes this and grows furious. He magically closes Darren's mouth, but at that exact moment, the candle extinguishes. The Jester's hand ignites. He begins to incinerate. He wounds Max in the leg using a knife. Max pulls herself forward and attempts to slice open Darren's sealed mouth with the knife, but from the rear, the Jester seizes Max's throat. Max thrusts her magic wand into his eye. The Jester erupts in flames. He is annihilated. The only thing remaining is his hat. After a brief period, the police show up. Willie also arrives to check on Max. Max states, "I performed the trick. However, the Jester's destiny is now her own. Henceforth, on every Halloween, she must provide 4 souls to death." And at that point, this narrative concludes. What did you think of this summary? Inform us in the comments section. And remember to like the video and subscribe to the Tana